121 of Checkpoint Chat. Look at us. Tired. Episode 121. Yeah, you yawned. Did you go to bed late last night?
I actually didn't. So I went to bed at about... here's what happened. I woke up this morning, my bedside lamp was on, which just shows I climbed into bed and I passed out.
You just forgot to turn it off.
Yeah, so I think I went to bed at like midnight.
Okay.
And I woke up
That's
at
early
around,
days for you.
It's early days. I woke up at around 6 because Lupin and Luna were busy harassing for food. I fell asleep again and I woke up at 8:30, which is the time we started recording. So I saw my phone. I flew out of bed. I was like, I'm on my way.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm setting up. And then I just saw it's like last scene, midnight, or 10 past midnight. I was like, I don't think his alarm has gone off. Or he's out on a run and he's not back yet.
No, my alarm literally went off. Like I clearly snoozed it or something until 8:30 because then it triggered. I was like, oh God. Read my messages. You there? Like, hey man, I'm setting up. Like, okay.
I don't know. This new iPhone alarm system is a bit tricky because like my alarm went off and then I did the thing where I went into my alarms and changed the time, like the bedtime time, just so I could snooze a bit more, and it never went off. So I was lucky I woke up at like 15:15 because otherwise I would still be sleeping right now.
I don't understand the iPhone alarm because does it have two states? I'm always half asleep, so I can never tell. Sometimes I feel like I've put it off and it triggers again.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I've snoozed it and it never goes on again.
Yes, that is 100% happen. Like
I think
because they make that snooze alarm really prominent, like the button.
Yeah.
But sometimes I swear to God, I've hit that button and it's like, nah, you completely dismissed me.
I can confirm I've never seen the alarm screen. My eyes are always too heavy. I'm like,
you just see that faint orange from the snooze button. You're like,
crack open this eyes.
Yes.
Okay, I said, yeah, put this. Okay.
Do you have the default alarm sound on?
I don't think so.
I changed mine to birds, and it's actually kind of terrible because I can't tell if it's my alarm or if it's the birds outside.
No, does it sound like actual birds?
Yeah, I thought it'd be more calming than an alarm tone. But Jesus, Shani has the worst alarm tone. It sounds like a nuclear reactor's going off. It is so anxiety-inducing.
I know exactly which one that is. Yeah,
it's horrible. I hate it.
If that doesn't get you out of bed, then nothing will.
Good Lord.
I don't think I have any fancy alarm. I've just got one of the random tunes on the phone.
Do 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 do. Yeah, that's the default one.
Hang on, let me see.
It's actually quite nice. It's like
ding, ding. I don't even know where to change it now. It's been such a long time. Hang on, alarm.
It's like
edit this one.
Yeah, the alarms are now in your health app as well because they consider your sleep health.
That one.
Oh, that's not the default one.
No.
Interesting.
Nope.
That sounds like Starlight. Oh, Twinkle. That sounds like something I'd listen to going to sleep though.
That's why I use it to wake up.
Oh God, that's a word. No.
Gotta ease me out of that sleep.
Oh my goodness! What a week. I planned on getting to bed early last night, and then I started up some Hades again because I haven't played it in a week, and just ended up doing 3 runs. So
Hades knocked on the door, was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you for a week, man. What's going on here?"
And it was like, then next thing I looked, it was like 1 a.m. I was like, oh, oops. So
how long does a run take for you in that game? Like, do you have the in-game timer on?
I don't. So I generally only see my run if I actually finish a run. I finished a run yesterday, and that was 27 minutes. So not too bad.
That's quick. Well, I mean, I know.
Yeah, that was faster than my first one. Yeah.
But so you can put the in-game timer on. Handy tip, Chile pointed out to me, and that timer pauses anytime you're in dialogue or making a decision.
What?
So yeah. So your 27 minutes, because when I started streaming Hades, a run is taking me like an hour, and Chilla's like, I don't understand. Like, how are you taking so long for each of your runs? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's probably the dialogue and me just reading everything and taking my time to make choices. And then when I put the timer on, I saw that the time doesn't move. So my first run was like 45 minutes, let's say, and I obviously spent a lot of time just reading and doing other stuff. I spend a lot of time running around the rooms looking for those gold pots just in case.
Yeah, I've started doing the same after watching a bit of your stream, and I've realized I was missing out on a lot of gold. Holy shit.
Do you know why I do it? Because I had Chiller and Gareth Woods on one of my runs, and I was just YOLOing through rooms. They were like, no, you missed the pots.
I know when I watched you on Thursday, Chiller saw that it had there was one of those, what are those chests called where you can summon enemies and you get a reward? I think it's a chaos chest or
what's
something?
it called? A trove.
Trove, yeah, chaos trove,
yeah.
whatever. And he saw a trove and a fishing spot right at the beginning of the level. And even before you had finished that level, he's like, you motherfucker, if you leave this room without going back there. And you nearly did. It was so close.
I know now, like there are audio prompts for like the fishing. You can hear it. There's like a little ding.
I like the fishing. It's cute. It's like, I like some of the fish you get. Like in the fireplace, you always get a slug that's mixed with lava, a slavug, which I'm like, okay. This is like Hades' version of Pokemon.
Yeah, I've still got lots of shit to do in that game, but we'll get into that in a second.
Oh, might as well. I mean, this checkpoint chat, talk about video games. Talk about video games like Hades.
Welcome to episode 121.
Welcome to episode 121. I didn't even introduce, I'm Alessandro Barbosa. That's Matty Figuera. Fuck.
I'm the faceless co-host.
Cool, maybe one day we'll get this right. This intro rigmarole.
It's fine. It works. So we're talking about Hades because
Hades is good.
I mean, I know people listening are like, these guys won't stop talking about Hades. And you know why? Because Hades is a really good game.
Hades is my game of the year at the moment. It legitimately is the game that's engrossed me the most this year.
I can put it up there. I can confidently say that, like, yes, it's really, really good. I mean, the production value, art style, gameplay, story, like all... It ticks like all the right boxes. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I know it's up there, but I have to remember that I also played Final Fantasy VII Remake this year. I played Animal Crossing this year. I played all these other good games where...
Shit, Animal Crossing came out this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, it does not feel like that.
So now, but you have to sit and think, like, come end of the year, you also put a lot of time into Animal Crossing. Back in Feb, March. So it's a tough thing. And... Look, I can confidently say that Hades is definitely up there, but I need to put more time into it because you've played, what, like 35 hours now, I guess?
Yeah, I guess maybe closer to 40, yeah.
I've only played 15, so it's like, and I know I've finished 2 runs now, but I've still got so much to do in that game, so it'll probably keep hooking me in. It might be game of the year. I don't know.
I've started mucking around with the because you finished the game now, so you see how the end game works with that heat level.
Yeah.
So yesterday I activated a heat level for the first time just because I wanted to try it out. It's actually, you can alter the game in a very small way and like completely reset your rewards because you only need like 1 heat level to get your first set of rewards. So for anyone who doesn't know, essentially when you finish the game, you get a set of like modifiers for your run that make the game, well, they change the game and generally just makes it harder. And based on how much harder you make the game, you increase something called a heat level. And what that does is, based on the weapon you're using, it resets the rewards you get for that weapon for killing a boss. So on your very first run, you'd get unique resources from each of the bosses that you kill. But once you've killed that boss with a certain weapon, they don't drop that again. So you need to increase your heat level to a certain point to reset those resources coming back, like Titan Blood or the Diamond or the big jug of Ambrosia, which I haven't figured out what it's used for yet.
There's a lot of stuff there. I'm like, I don't know what I use this for. Like, I now know the Titan Blood is for like different
aspects
weapon
from the weapons. Yeah.
But there's still resources. I'm like, I've got several of these.
The big jug of Ambrosia, I'm almost certain it's used for like you give the small things of nectar to characters to progress like conversation. So I'm sure that's like you're at the end of the conversation string, so you have to give them a big one. I don't know. I haven't done it yet though, but I'm guessing it's that. Yeah. But so essentially yesterday I activated just one modifier because I was enough to max out my first level of heat. And what I did was There's a modifier that changes not changes the boss, but gives the boss of each area a new technique.
I saw that, and I was quite curious. I'm like, what are you going to add to each boss here? Like, what is this?
So with each level, it increases a boss in a region. So I only put on one level, so I only ended up altering Meg, one of the Furies. So I was like, oh, okay, it's going to give her another move or whatever.
Yeah.
I got there. I was fighting all three of them.
Oh. That's amazing, because if you read the description, I don't know if it's on that one or another one. It's like, there's one modifier. It's like, well, all bosses will have an elite NPC. And then like in brackets, like all similar. So it's like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, they'll just have an extra move.
Yeah.
Or similar. It's like, hey, here's all three sisters.
It wasn't a Shadows of Yharnam situation where they all had 3 life bars. I was still fighting just Meg, but I was having to compete with the other two fucking with me as well.
So that's interesting. I wanted to ask, like, out of those 3 sisters, who do you think's the worst? Like, which is the hardest one to fight?
What's her name? The one that builds up rage.
Oh, do you think it's her? Not the one that shouts murder?
No, I don't mind her, because I feel like she's so stationary for so long during her fights. Like, yeah, she's far less mobile than the others, even though she puts you in like progressively smaller rooms to fight in.
I hate it.
Yeah, that shit's annoying. But the one that builds up rage, when she's in rage, Jesus, she can be a bit of a pain.
So I've only fought her like once or twice.
Oh, right, yeah, so you've only done 15 runs, yeah.
No, so the reason I'm like still uncertain of those other 2 sisters, because I don't know, I just feel inexperienced versus both of them. So I'm like, oh God. Every time I see one of them, I'm like, no, please, just don't hurt me.
I love the dialogue with the sister that just screams murder, because Zag just starts taking the piss out of it. It's very funny.
It's like, murder, what?
Meg becomes like a real pushover. She becomes like extremely easy to kill, I find.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to the part yet where, well, the Bone Hydra has different like attacks each time you face him.
Yeah.
There's some interesting story progression with the Bone Hydra and Zag's like dialogue with him, which makes me laugh a lot. I don't know if you've gotten this. I'm not going to say anything.
Don't know.
Yeah, it's very funny. He has some very good dialogue every time he meets the Hydra. You should listen to it. It's
a good
quite
time.
Great.
I think just the dialogue in general in that game is a good
so
time.
Good. Yeah, I haven't really come across like repeating dialogue still, and which just blows my mind.
My thing is, because you're so far ahead of me in terms of time played, and you still say there's no repeated dialogue. I'm like, well, I've still got plenty to go then. Because I mean,
a lot of it becomes like less consequential to the story, especially with characters you're constantly seeing in the Hall of Hades, but it's still not repeating. You know, it doesn't feel like canned dialogue, but there's still things I need to do. Like, I need to figure out how to resolve story links between like Achilles and that dude in Elysium. I need to figure out how to resolve the story between Orpheus and Eurydice.
The musician and the singer, I guess, if you want to put them like that.
Yeah. So there's actual story. How do you say, like
content?
Yeah, it's like little side stories. They're like side missions. And there is like an end to their like stories. So there's still so much for me to do. But yeah, what a game. Just real good. I got my second clear finally. Hooray.
Nice. I'm just itching to keep playing it. Even so I finished it on so I started the stream on Thursday, did it on the first run, and then we played some Phasmophobia.
Okay.
Then I went back to Hades.
Did you go back to it? Okay.
I went back to Hades, yeah. So then I tried the gun. I didn't finish that run, then I finished the run after. And this is at like 2:30 to 3 in the morning. I was like, I just want to play one more. But I absolutely cannot, because that'd be insane.
I really, really want to beat it with the sword, because I really love the sword. But
I love the sword, yeah.
It's like you got to get up in that face of the final boss just to Yeah, it's not easy. It's really not easy.
No. It's
What
a
a
good
game.
game though. If you guys haven't picked it up on Steam, it's like 150 Rand. On Switch, it's like what, 400 Rand?
Well, I don't know now. When it came out, it
So
was like 300 and something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has gone up because it doesn't have that initial discount.
Yeah.
But at either price, it's worth it. Like, it's absolutely worth it.
I think I read that
tempted.
they nerfing the bow because people are finding like ridiculous builds
with
the
it.
bow. Yeah.
Well, the bow is the weapon I nearly cleared it with first time, like on my 6th or 7th run.
It was what I cleared it with the second time yesterday, and I finally had a run, like you said, where everything synergized. Like I was melting through people. Like I destroyed bosses like it was nothing. So yeah, I can definitely see that. But yeah, what a game.
Hades.
At least there's those modifiers now to make it harder. Really want to see what the boss modifier is on like Theseus and the Minotaur.
Oh no. Yeah, I keep thinking about that as well, because when you get to the Minotaur, when you get to Meg, you either fight her or any of her sisters who are arguably more difficult than she is. And when you get to the Bone Hydra, it's got different attacks or different patterns, so it mixes the fights up.
Imagine there's 3 Bone Hydra heads.
I know. I haven't got to Theseus and the Minotaur and noticed like, oh, they have this new attack or something. Like I haven't got into anything else with them, and I don't know if that exists.
I haven't either, actually, now that you mention it. Their fight is the one that feels consistent. The only difference is Theseus will call on different gods, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that...
Yeah. So maybe that's the modifier, I don't know.
I do find the both mid-bosses in Elysium suck. It's either the Minotaur, which actually is my preferred one, or it's that stupid butterfly bubble ball. That fight,
bubble ball.
That fight sucks. That fight is so hard to like not die on.
To the best build for that fight is you need to have something that like does damage. So for example, like if you play with the shield and you throw it and it does a lot of damage, that makes that fight fun because it keeps spawning in those little eyes that eventually turn into archers. But if you can just kill them before they spawn. But yeah, I'm with you. The first time I did that fight, I was like, well, this is impossible.
Yeah, if you leave all the archers to spawn, you're fucked. Like, because then it just becomes chaos. It's Yeah, I used to think that fight in the fireplace, I keep forgetting. Whatever.
Whatever it is.
That one with the Gorgon and the that column that falls on you.
Oh, the fist. Oh my god.
I used to be like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
But
the first time I did that fight, I was like, well, this is shit.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand why I was freezing. I didn't realize the Gorgon's attack was it's going to freeze you, and then this thing's just going to fall on you. But now it's like pissy. If you have a deflect attack there, oh my god, it's so easy.
It's a good time.
You just deflect all those Gorgon attacks right back, and you give zero shit.
It just melts.
It's actually quite fun having I love having a deflect on my dash because especially in Elysium with those like mages that they're like projectiles like balloon out.
Oh, just explode. Yeah, you just send them back.
I invite that shit. I'm like, come, make it chaos. Let's go.
When I've only ever streamed the game, but I've reached once or twice where I could choose a dash, and I just looked over the thing and I was like, well, like deflect's cool, whatever. But people were like, no, but it's the best one.
It really is.
And then one day I did pick it up. I was like, you know what? This shit is the best thing in the world.
deflect on dash, or something I've only recently started liking is deflect on attack. Because at first I was like, this sucks. But if you choose deflect on attack and you're facing someone who does projectile attacks head on, like they can't hit you. Because like I did it with the Bone Hydra. Like he was sending all the projectiles and I was literally just attacking him, and because I was attacking him, I was deflecting his attacks back as well. I was
amazing.
Oh, I understand why this is cool now.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's
but I think you all should play Hades. Leave it at that. It's
definitely.
a good time. I'm gonna keep playing that for a long time still.
What else playing that's not Hades?
You're gonna put it on me. So I finished. Let me tell you, that Super Mario 3D collection. I finished it last week already. I snorted that collection. I mean, I spoke about Mario 64.
Don't do Mario, not even once.
Don't do Mario, kids. It's bad for you.
Don't crush it up. Don't inject it. Just take it through your Switch. Yeah.
So I finished Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, which I've spoken about both, at least briefly, if not at some length. But I finally got to the best Mario game ever made, Super Mario
Odyssey.
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
No. You, my friend, have not played Galaxy. Let me tell you, Galaxy came out in 2007, and that game is still... It's actually quite something. It's the first game, I think, in history, in my life, that sort of had me enthralled in the same way today as it did back then. So I could go back and play, like, what's a really good old game?
Half-Life.
Just for argument's sake, like Half-Life 2, and I'd be like, okay, I can see why this is a good shooter. Like, yeah, the story's great, feels good, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'd have that same sense of, like, the first time I played Half-Life, I was like, oh my god, like, I can't believe this game.
It's like
Super
it's like
Mario
that
Galaxy,
first sense of like forgetting you've played a game and re-experiencing it again.
I mean, most gamers, like, they wish that they could forget a game and re-experience it.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, Super Mario Galaxy had a lot of moments like that. I was like, oh shit, like, I forgot about this, man. Like, what a cool mechanical, what great level design, all just like pure joy. So Super Mario Galaxy takes place basically in outer space. You know, it's in the name. But what the twist is, that the twist basically is that Mario is running around little planets, if that makes sense. They look like either little planets or giant orbs.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo uses this to create interesting puzzles or just interesting perspectives on the platforming. Because, for example, if you're running around a little orb, you're stuck, the gravity pulls you down onto it, and you can run underneath it and over it and all these different things. And they just play into this to create just fun gameplay. It's like pure understilled Mario, and it's just so much fun to play. Like, I think the moveset, it's interesting. It is interesting playing the whole trilogy back to back, because you kind of pick up on how they adjusted the moveset as you go.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, like,
you can see like the iterative design on how Mario works. Yeah.
So Mario 64 was interesting because it is the first 3D Mario. They like threw everything in the kitchen sink into that moveset. So I don't think I ever mentioned, but in Mario 64, Mario can attack, like, he has a punch, which is something, like, you have a 3-hit combo. You can, like, punch and kick, which I don't think has been in any Mario game.
Mario 64 is a brawler? I did not know this.
So, and now that I think about it, maybe that's where his attack animation comes from in Super Smash Bros.
Yeah. They're like, man, we got to reuse this fucking animation somewhere.
So, like, in Mario 64, he's got that. He's got like the typical, like the triple jump. You can hold crouch and do a backflip. You could run, turn around, do like a cartwheel, flip backwards. Like that whole moveset's there. Okay.
Listen, learning that moveset in Odyssey for the first time was a trip, because I was like, how do I get some of these things? I didn't even know some of these things existed. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of those just exist in Odyssey because, I mean, that's his signature moveset.
Yeah, that's his set.
Oh, and one of my favorite jumps is if you just hold crouch for a split second and then jump, you do like this launch forward.
It's
like
that like
jump,
lunge.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all in 64. It's all there. In Sunshine, they removed some of that. Like, the biggest one for me, they removed that lunge jump, which felt very weird, because that to me is something I use in like every Mario game, every 3D Mario game.
That's because you got FLUDD, man. You don't need to jump.
You've got FLUDD, yeah. So what they do is, you don't need to jump. I mean, you just
jetpack around.
You just jetpack around. So, like, the reason I suppose they did that's because what they want you to do with FLUDD is spray water in front of you, slide, and then jump.
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels.
Oh, do you
different.
slide on the water?
You slide in the water. So what you can do is you can run, you can spray water, and you can dive onto it, and you pick up a lot of momentum.
It's like every kid's dream. It's like those little slides you put in your garden. That's great.
Yeah, you just have it permanently. But then, so in Sunshine, they've obviously reined in some of the moves because, like you said, you've got FLUDD to do that. Okay. But then in Galaxy, they include some of the moves, but it's kind of difficult to explain because it's still a limited move set, but it feels like they did it intentionally because they want you to use a move set in a very specific way. It feels like in 64 and Sunshine, the areas are like expansive and like these big open worlds almost. I mean, like open worlds used very loosely.
I wanted to ask that real quick. Like, okay, so when I think of Odyssey, Odyssey was obviously different in a regard where you were visiting like biomes essentially.
Yes.
And they were more like wide linear. It wasn't linear like you could just explore within this biome.
Yeah.
Is Galaxy like that?
No.
Okay.
So Sunshine and 64 are very much like that. So think of, I mean, your I suppose your closest reference is Odyssey, where you enter a biome and you can run anywhere.
Yeah,
and
like there is a critical path, but you can kind of deviate.
You can go wherever, and if you deviate, you're going to find moons like in some side area or whatever. Mario 64 and Sunshine are similar, and so Mario 64 is similar in that you enter an arena and there are, I think it's 6 stars to find. It doesn't matter. You can find them in any order, whatever. Sunshine mixes that up in that every time you start a level, you choose the star you're going to go for. Oh. And the level, although it's the same structure, whatever, you can't get any star in any order. You have to go for the star that you've chosen before you spawn into it. Because they're weird. Like...
Okay.
Yeah, so for example, you might go into a level and it's like, oh, this boss is here. And you have to kill the boss to get the star. But if you choose another star in that same level, the boss won't be there. So they contextualize it based on what star you're getting. And those are all in like big, like again, loose term open area. In Galaxy, that's like completely gone. It's, you get into a level, you're going for a specific star, but the levels feel very linear. But it's done intentionally because I think where Sunshine and 64 lose a bit of the charm is that you can kind of do your own thing. Whatever, you can go explore any part of the map, but the platforming doesn't feel as tight. Whereas Galaxy, it is like, okay, well, we've got the smaller area, but we're going to force you down this critical path, and the platforming is going to be like top notch.
Because they've defined it. They're like, you can only approach this in a way. Okay.
So, yes, I mean, when I say it's linear, I don't mean like you're walking down one specific path. Like you've obviously got little different planets and you can run all over them, whatever. But the levels feel a lot more smaller, but in a good way. Like they really have pulled it in, limited Mario's moveset a little bit. And
so it's like predefined, like you will hop from this planet to this planet to this planet. It's not like, I can decide which planet to hop to next. Okay. That's the one thing I've always like, I mean, I've tried not to watch tons on Galaxy, but like whenever I see it, I'm like always wondering about the structure of that game.
Yeah, so there are some exceptions. I mean, each level not every level, but some levels have hidden stars, and you might find a launch pad somewhere that you didn't know about, and it'll launch you to a different part of the map. But then again, you get to that part of the map and it's its own specific sets of platforming or its own specific puzzle. Okay. It's not like some open world you just happen upon a corner, like, oh, there's like a whole area I didn't discover, whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to harp too much.
It's kind of amazing how what they did was essentially just they redefined what gravity was in a Mario game, because now it's it's like central, but because you're on like a body, like a planet, the angle of gravity changes every time you move. So, and that alone just completely changes how you think about a platformer. It's such a smart change.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that even though, like, remember the perspective is a bit warped sometimes because you might be upside down on a planet. Yeah. But it feels, you kind of know, you figure out with the analog, like, I need to run this way. And it's weird how it's kind of natural.
Yeah.
Like, so the platforming is still precise somehow, despite the perspective being shifted completely. And I don't know, like, how they did that, but I think it's just testament to their design. Like, when it comes to Mario, any Mario game you play, it's like I can say 64 and Sunshine are great games. Like, I appreciate them for what they did at the time. But Galaxy for me it's like, it's difficult because I've had to think about, like, maybe I should go revisit Odyssey now because I've played all of these back to back and I can compare Odyssey. Because I think back then, the reason Galaxy stood out for me so much is because it was the first 3D Mario game I ever played. I never played 64 or Sunshine. So going to Galaxy and being 3D and having all these planets and the gravity, I was like, this is mind-blowing. Like, it really is incredible. Going back to it now, I'm still blown away by it, but I'm like, maybe, like, is Odyssey a better game?
I think that's why Odyssey got me a lot, because I'd never played Galaxy or 64. Yeah, it was my first, like, core Mario game. Yeah, so I'd be interested to see what you think of Galaxy, because maybe you think, like, no, well, Odyssey was better because you had Cappy, for example. And I just loved the fact that I could take over enemies, or I could use Cappy to, like, launch jump in different ways, or I really liked that I could just explore a level at my own leisure and just find moons in, like, the most obscure of places. Yeah.
Because I mean, Odyssey is that. It's kind of like they flipped it again, where it's no longer this linear level. It's really like, okay, well, you need to get 20 moons to progress in this level. Just go find them.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Galaxy still for me at the moment is still my favorite Mario game, and like I'm amazed that it gave me that sense of awe today, like again. Which I just didn't expect. Like I had a big stupid smile on my face for most of the game just because of, like, I don't know, it's so creative and it's just good Mario.
There's few games that do that to me, like where I actively like am aware, like, oh, I'm just smiling this entire time. And like Odyssey was one of them, and Breath of the Wild was one of them. Odyssey especially, I was just like I could feel like I was just like, it was just pure joy the entire time.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Odyssey is still a phenomenal game. Like I
no.
love
Yeah,
Odyssey.
I'm not saying otherwise, but I know exactly what you mean when you say like you were just grinning the entire time with Galaxy. Like, yeah. I'm very, very keen to play that.
Give that shit a bash. Oh, and just last thing before we bounce off to what you've been playing. Galaxy was a Wii game. So what I didn't understand was how they would translate the motion controls to
because you use the
Galaxy,
motion controls to gather stars or something.
Yeah. So what it means is that on the Wii, you used to have to shake the Wiimote to spin.
Okay.
I think you can still do that if you're playing in docked, but otherwise there's a button that's assigned. It's Y, I think. Then you can just spin by pushing.
That seems a lot better.
It's a big help.
Yeah, that seems a lot
But
better.
when it comes to collecting star bits in handheld, you have to use the touchscreen to pick them up, which, like, it's hit and miss. Like it doesn't break the game for me, but it was a bit like this. You know, I've got to take my hand off to quickly drag and get star bits, whatever. But in docked mode, it works exactly like the Wii. You've got a pointer on the screen, you just move it around to pick up stuff. So I think that's probably the best way to play. But in hand, I played like 95% handheld, and it was still a great time. So yeah.
Okay, I need to give it a go in both configurations, because I know Odyssey also had optional motion controls that I didn't really use.
That is weird.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to throw Cappy up in the air, you got to like do this. And I'm like, oh,
it did feel cool sometimes using the Joy-Con and just like flicking my wrist, and Cappy's like, woo, he just like does this thing. Yeah. Very fun. Very fun. Okay, I've been playing a game called Noita. Noita.
Dude.
Noise, dude. Yeah. Noita's been in early access for a long time, but it finally came out this week. And it's another roguelike.
Bam.
It's a roguelike.
So many.
Yeah, it's a roguelike that feels more like Spelunky than Hades, if that means anything to you. And what I mean by that is that there is no central progression. So each run is the same as the last. There is no there's no meta progression that makes each run easier. There's actually fewer options than Spelunky, because Spelunky you can unlock shortcuts to worlds so that you can practice a world without having to like go through the easier ones. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Noita doesn't have that. Well, yeah, Noita doesn't have that as a mechanic. There are definitely ways you can find shortcuts to circumvent certain areas. Yeah, sort of. Anyway, so the central hook to Noita is you are like a wizard, or you are a Noita, whatever.
Harry.
Yeah, you're Harry. And you start off with each run with 2 wands, and the spells assigned to each wand are randomized. So think of wands sort of like a bow and arrow. Your wand defines things like your spread, your attack speed, your reload speed, stuff like that. What they call the cast delay essentially is like a reload. The spells then are your arrows. They determine damage, effects, stuff like that. So you have the ability to change up what spells are assigned to what wands. During each level is like its own thing, and at the end of each level you go into what it calls the Holy Mountain, where you replenish your your health, your mana, and that's where you pick up like perks for that run. And when you're in there, you can alter your wand makeup. You can also get a perk that allows you to do it wherever you want, but that's generally where you do it. And you can get absolutely wild with the configurations you can put on wands. So some wands, your starting wands are usually like fairly basic, like they'll only have 3 slots on them, so there's not much, you can do in terms of customization. But you can find wands that have like 20 customization slots for spells. And then what happens is you got to think about the spell slots as sort of like a command track. So if you're reading this thing from left to right, it casts those spells from left to right. So you can do weird things like this will shoot a fireball, then it hits a tricast perk. So the next spell after the tricast will do like a spread pattern. Then after that, it will do like a boomerang spell. So it's like this track of things you've got to think about. And like, I don't think any of that is crucial to like getting past Noita. You can really just like focus on, okay, this is my fire wand, this is my water wand, this is, and like make good progress. But man, when you start digging deep into how Noita's like systems all interact with one another, it becomes almost like a toy instead of a game, because you just kind of want to experiment, like see what interacts with what. And this all goes hand in hand with how physics in Noita works. So it's a pixel art game, but every pixel is physically based. So
I remember this game. You told me about it long ago.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, it blows my mind, because like I look at this, I'm like, how did they do this? But like essentially, if you've got a fire wand and you shoot wood, the wood catches fire and the fire propagates. And then if you spray that fire with water, the fire gets extinguished. Same thing with like levels will often have like big pools of acid, and I can use a bomb to like kind of like, because you can like terraform essentially, like bombs will destroy pieces of the world. So I can destroy the bottom of it, and it will be like a fluid simulation. Like the fluid will run out and like start melting stuff beneath it stuff like that.
Cool. Is this a 2D game?
Yeah, 2D game.
Okay.
Cool. And you can do all sorts of things. Like if you extinguish fire with water, then you generate steam. So that reacts in a certain way. You can, if there's a big lava pit, if you spray water on the lava pit, water and lava react to create rock. So you can create a path across
the rock.
If you have a potion, because you get potion vials, and I only figured this out recently, but when you empty them, you can fill them up with other fluids that you find in the world. So if I have a potion vial that is half freezing potion, and then I fill it up with half water, when I throw it, it will create an explosion of water and ice that will freeze in an area rather than just on the thing it hits. There is so much to this game that I don't understand. Like, I've started looking at a wiki while I'm playing, because it feels like I'm playing Minecraft in a roguelike form, because there's so many different like things that react in completely different ways. The other day I put a boomerang perk on a wand, and I was like, okay, that sounds like, my spells are gonna come back to me or whatever. And I put it on a wand which shot out TNT.
Nice.
So think about that for a second.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I shot this thing out at an enemy. It went towards the enemy, turned around, and came back at me. And I was like, oh. And I died. Like, immediately I died. And I was like, okay, so...
You're like, I don't know what I expected.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected, but now I know. The game is brutally difficult. Like, you can be so careful on a run and just, like, make one mistake that leads to, like, a chain reaction of, like, physics that you do not expect, and you'll just die.
Good Lord.
My favorite thing, God, I was so dumb. Sometimes I had one of my favorite ones is this thing that spawns a cloud of water, because it's great. One of the things that I never learned early on that I've now learned quickly is that if you set yourself on fire by accident or fall into some poison, it coats it coats your cloak in that status effect, so you'll take damage over time. So it's really good to always know where some water is to like neutralize yourself. Or if you're on fire, jump into some poison so you're not on fire anymore, and then find some water, because the poison does damage slower than fire does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you hate it when you're on fire? You have to like douse it out with poison.
Or you kill an enemy and then like douse out the fire with their blood. Like you can do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You can do that.
That's so badass.
So like having a wand that can spawn a cloud of water anywhere is super useful. Except in the instances where it's not. So I've drowned myself by accident before. Like I've cast that spell in a cavern and not been able to get out that cavern and then like drowned. So I'm like, okay, cool. God. Or I used it on an enemy that does electric attacks. That didn't work out so well either, because I was like, cool, yeah, I'm going to drown you. And he just did one attack and I died instantly because it just conducted through the water and killed me. So
it's kind of incredible that they've thought out like every instance of like every combination.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you've said, you can't believe how things react, and you kind of don't understand how they did it.
There's still
so many different combinations.
There's still stuff that I haven't discovered, because there's ways you can, I mean, like I said, you can combine all these spells in different slots and wands, and they all play off of each other. So I can have like arcs of like flame lightning if I want, or like a black hole that shoots out little buzzsaws from it, or
oh my gosh,
there's so much. I mean, I've played this game for about 15 hours. I haven't completed a run. I'm nowhere close to completing a run. I looked at the worlds that, you know, where I am and how far I am to the quote unquote end.
Yeah.
But I'm just having so much fun fucking around with it. There's also so much to explore. So the main path is like just going downwards and going from one biome to the next. But I started going sideways in some of the biomes, and I found ways. I found like completely different areas that are, I don't know if they're important to the story or not, or there's not really much of a story as far as I can tell. There's more like, it's just like lore. But there are things like, like you start the game on the surface of a mountain every run, and you go like into the mountain and go down. But I've seen that there are ways to get up onto the perch of the mountain, and there's stuff there. So it's like, there's a lot to uncover in this game. That's why I compare it to Spelunky, because like, it doesn't explain any of this shit to you. This is all like,
you just have to figure it out.
Yeah, enjoy it, figure it out. I do wish that they explained some of the, like, I didn't know that wands read their spell things from left to right. That would have been fairly useful to know. But like, it feels like one of those games where you're going to have like a wiki open and just like kind of like, you know, piecing together as you go how this game clicks. It's good. It's like I said, it's sometimes I think of it more as a toy than a game, and I'm literally just doing runs and experimenting to see how things react to one another. But I think as a roguelike, I think you'll get a lot out of it, because it is just super challenging, and the runs are super quick. Like, I've seen people complete runs in like 10, 15 minutes easy, because it's much, much faster paced than Hades. So
I mean, Hades is pretty fast.
Hades is fast, but there's like I feel like
there's downtime
even though I'm doing runs, like I'll always spend at least like half an hour, 40 minutes on a run. That is so not what's happening in Noita. It's like a fraction of that. So yeah,
it's a good time.
I think you'll dig it, and it's on Steam now. It's I don't know how much it is, but it's fun. It's a good time.
I've just got to play Noita and then Spelunky.
This is the year. This is the year of the roguelike, eh? Like Hades, Spelunky 2, Noita, like all the good ones coming out this year.
I mean, that category, they're gonna have to make one at Game Awards.
And how different all three are. They're all essentially roguelikes, but they all tackle it from a different perspective and all have their own individual hooks. It's a good time.
God damn, it's a good time. What a time to be a roguelike.
The only annoying thing, well, not annoying, but Noita has a frame rate cap of 60, and that's because the physics run at 60. Like, the physics are affected by your frame rate because they have to be.
Oh, shit.
So try get that game to run at a locked 60, otherwise you're going to see some weird shit happening. Yeah.
I want to get it up to 144, man.
Yeah, Jesus, all the fire just flies around so fast. Yeah.
I know. That's amazing.
Oh, there is a Twitch integration as well that I mentioned before the show. So I've seen some streamers play it, and Twitch viewers can do things like spawning a pool of lava somewhere randomly in the level.
Oh, nice, man. That's cool.
So I saw a guy falling through a level, and then the lava spawned literally underneath him, and he just went bloop into the lava and died immediately. It was like, fuck, I hate this game.
Like, thanks, chat.
Yeah. So there's some cool things to play around with there.
Noita, you would recommend?
Would recommend, yeah. It's hard. Like, it makes me pull my hair out, but every time I've literally had instances where I've like died and I've gone, like, I've just sat there in disbelief, like, what killed me? Like, it always tells you what killed you. It's like, you got electrocuted or you drowned, but I'm just sitting there like, how did that happen? Yeah, it's great. It's a fun time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's stuff we've played this week.
Yeah, should we get to...
What about stuff that you can play this week? Coming out.
Ooh. What a segue. Game releases.
What are the big releases?
Looking at releases from today, October 17th to October 23rd.
Nice. Very nice.
October 20th, okay. To 23rd, okay. Not too many. Got some good ones here. Oh yeah, there's actually like a handful of good indie games here. So first up on October 20th, we've got Amnesia Rebirth. I guess that's the remaster or remake of the first Amnesia, which that was like the best one as far as I can tell. So spooky times. It's out on PS4 and PC. Then on October 21st, we've got Scourgebringer. This game looks cool. I don't know if it's a roguelike as well, but it looks like a roguelike bullet hell thing. It looks cool. I've been seeing trailers of it on and people sharing stuff on Twitter. It's like one of those 2D pixel arty bullet hell combat games.
Nice.
Sort of, it's 100% my vibe. So that's out on PC, Xbox One, and Switch on October 21st. Then on October 22nd, we've got Disc Room, which is made. One of the designers is JW, who was formerly one half of Flambeer. They've closed, they've shut it now. But
yeah.
So Disc Room is like it's not a combat game, but essentially sort of like an action puzzle game where you're in rooms and there's loads of little buzzsaws running around and you've just got to survive. So like very Twitch-based survival game. It looks ridiculous and looks like a lot of fun, and I kind of want to play it. So that's out on PC and Switch, October 22nd. Also on October 22nd, also on PC and Switch, The Red Lantern, which is a survival roguelike, but you are a person in, like, I think the Arctic, and you've got a team of huskies, like, mush dogs. So I don't know whether you're lost and you're trying to get back home or something, but essentially it's like a survival game where you have to keep them fed, you have to keep yourself fed, and you have to keep, your team of huskies safe, and you're just, you're mushing around the Arctic trying to find a way home. It looks awesome. Looks really, really cool.
Damn.
I'm stoked to give this game a go just because I've never seen anything like it. So yeah.
Bluff Simulator.
Bluff Simulator, exactly. And then the last game on October 23rd, we've got Transformers Battlegrounds, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, which looks like that's a Transformers game that looks like a mobile game. I don't know.
Autobots, roll out.
Yes.
That game.
Roll out. That's it for this week. The week after is busy. Busy.
What's coming out next week? Give us a
Watch
little
Dogs, Ghost Runner, Pikmin, that stuff.
Oh, is Pikmin out next week?
Yeah, October 30th, the day before Watch Dogs, and earlier that week is Ghost Runner. So yeah.
Good Lord.
Big games. Should get to games news.
Should we get to that game news?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool.
I don't feel like there was tons, but again, we've got some next-gen console news.
Breaking news: Sony reveals the PlayStation UI.
Hot damn!
Wow!
Hot damn! It just shows up how starved people are for next gen news. At this, I mean, yes, new UI. It's always exciting. It's always nice to. It's like when the new Windows comes out. It's like fun for an hour, and then you just swear at it because you can never find everything that you're used to.
Good Lord!
But yeah, I guess I wonder if it's because, like, I mean, the Xbox Series X is going to have the same UI as the Xbox One X now. They actually just updated it with their new UI.
Yeah, they just updated it.
And it's good. It's fast, it's simpler, it's whatever. But like maybe it's because like the PS5 will be a complete overhaul. People were more excited about it. And I mean it looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
It does look really nice.
It's got some good features. Let me see if I can find like a quick rundown
of it.
Of all the big features.
I've got an article from the PlayStation blog.
Okay. Oh no, this is
a
video.
I don't know if that's got.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through that PlayStation blog there. Yeah.
So, with less than a month, with deeper immersion that quickly connects you to great games and a passionate gaming community.
Wow. I love a passionate gaming community.
The new UX introduces several new features designed to make a gaming experience more fun, engaging, personalized, and social. Ooh. Wow. One of the highlights is a new... Yeah?
No, I know one of the big things is like it always tries to keep you in-game as much as it can. So like when you boot up the console, if you had a game running in the background, you're immediately back in that game. When you press the PlayStation button... I mean, on PS4... Whenever you press the PlayStation button, it took you back to the console's main menu.
Straight out of that menu, yeah.
This time it brings up, like, I think what they call it in the command center, like it overlays over the game.
Control center.
Control center, that's the one. And you can do all sorts of things from there. So I think the big thing there is cards. Cards are like, they can show trophies or achievement, like progress towards... your next milestone in the game, like how far are you till the end of the level, or how far are you to beating the game, and all these things it seems like need to be, this is all content that needs to be created by the developer of the game that you're playing, so that the card knows information that it needs to pull up, which to me is the real big sticking point over this whole UI. It's got these cool features like, yes, you can bring up a guide to help you through a portion of the game if you're struggling, or like these cards will help direct you towards certain trophies or show you progress, but all of that needs to be, the developer needs to make sure that that's in there. So it's up to the developers to support that. So I just wonder.
I don't know if they're going to.
I mean, first party for sure,
but
definitely. But like, depending on how much extra work it is, I don't know. Like, I don't know how fleshed out they'll be.
Yeah, look, I think, like, I don't know. I'm not the person doing this sort of admin work, whatever, but it seems like it's very doable. Like, it's a matter of assigning resources to, like, go and map out the quest, for example, and gauge how long it is to do. But yeah, I should say it is extra work at the end of the day. And like you said, AAA shooters will probably do it. But if you're like a 5-person indie team, like what are the chances that you're going to sit and do that just for PlayStation if your game's launching on every platform, for example?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Sony is like mandating it, because it is in their best interest to have the card system work. I think it would look really poor if they have this whole thing that is baked into their UI and then it's like barely supported. So Sony might say at the bare minimum you need to have this, this many things so that we can at least populate something on the card system. So I don't know. I think that feature's awesome. Like, I think it's
I think it's very cool.
I think it's awesome. I'm just I need to know more about how it works, But there are other parts of the UI that I think are just like massive improvements of the PS4, like
joining a party.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Joining a party without being booted back to the main menu, like you can do it in game.
Yeah,
like thank God, finally, you can accept invites to multiplayer games also without leaving the game. you can do this weird picture-in-picture thing, which I think might be really cool for streaming. So essentially, I can send you a feed of what I'm playing, and you can put that on your screen. Like you can have a little box on your screen that shows my view.
Yeah.
And then you can have a little box elsewhere that shows like your camera, if you're using the PlayStation camera to stream.
Yeah.
So like think about...
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, think about cooperative games. Like Sony, in my view, is really thinking about how people are going to create content from the PlayStation 5 itself without, having to reroute through a PC and, set all that up. So like if we're playing something, say The Division 2, and you want to overlay my view while yours is front and center, like you can do that from the PlayStation now, which I think is really cool. I don't know how much I will personally use that, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I can definitely see how a lot of people are going to end up using this in streaming. Same thing goes for screenshots. You can now take screenshots and edit them without leaving the game. Screenshots will automatically be tagged with spoiler warnings if the PlayStation thinks that it might, be a spoiler. Obviously, that won't prevent people from just uploading them to Twitter, but at least on your friends list, you won't see things accidentally.
Yeah.
I
think it's a pretty overall really nice UI.
Yeah, I think it's
system,
sleek.
Operating system.
I think
what is the right term?
I think it's
Just the UI.
I think it's it really shows how they want to keep you in game, so much so that it was only really at the end of the video that they showed the home screen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it was oh right, the home screen still exists. Like most of what they were showing was like
there.
just in the
just
game.
In game.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's pretty cool. I'm curious to play around with it because it looks nice.
Yeah. Likewise. I hate the existing. I think both consoles there. Look, hate is a strong word. They're both functional. But like just simple things that we mentioned earlier, the fact that you can just join a voice party without having to leave the game, like, oh my god, yes, please.
Yeah, it's like
so
I like the PS4 UI
cumbersome
because it's snappy,
4.
but man, it is cumbersome to use. It's really not great. And even that little control center that you bring up on the PS4 is not like, it's handy here and there, but 9 times out of 10, I'm still having to dive back into the actual main menu, and it's obtrusive. So I'm glad that Sony is like, yeah, we get it. So we're fixing that.
You.
Yeah. So that's cool. There is one thing that Sony didn't really mention, but I don't know. Again, this comes down to like the way they communicate things versus Microsoft. Like they said, there doesn't seem to be a quick resume feature like there is on Xbox, where you are basically saving game states to the SSD and then being able to cycle through games. But they did say that you can transition between games within like less than 5 seconds. But that doesn't make clear if it's like, oh, am I cold booting into a game in 5 seconds, or am I just resuming where I was? You know what I mean? Because like, if I can transition between games in 5 seconds, that's great. But if it's booting up to the main menu every time, that's like, yes, then it's I'm not saying it's bad, but it's very different from what quick resume is. And
I mean, but when it comes to load times, they did also have that there was a Spider-Man video going around.
Oh yes,
like,
yes.
Here's the load times between the old Spider-Man and with Miles Morales, and it's just incredible. You finish a enemy hideout, you just leap out of that place.
Yeah, there's no load screen to transition in and out of that hideout. It's just, I think Miles just like shoots through a vent and he's outside again. It's so cool. It's
a good time.
That SSD.
I love that video.
Yeah, we also got to see Spider-Cat, which was really, really cool.
Oh my gosh, and the memes that came out of that. Wow, this is
I cannot believe there's like Spider-Cat. Like, it's cool that there's a mission where you save a cat and the cat's name is Spider-Man, which is really funny to me. But like the fact that the cat then forms an integral part of a costume and then joins you in fights is just amazing.
I know, but also the fact that it just chills in the backpack.
Yeah, it's
so
and then like there's these like slow-mo shots of the cat like jumping out and scratching enemies' faces. It's
But
I love
the
it.
memes that have come out, it's like, give this cat its own game.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Oh my God. Forget Spider Ham. I want Spider Cat. Or like,
oh, it's so cute.
Oh God. Although, yeah, actually, no, I'd play a game where you're swinging around as a cat. I think that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
I mean, it's going to be canon, right?
Yeah, it has
they
to be.
have to make it now.
Spider Cat is canon now.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Just quickly,
I'm busy looking at the video now.
just quickly on Quick Resume, Microsoft. I think they mentioned this earlier this year, but it's come up in conversation again during this week. Quick Resume. A lot of people look at Quick Resume and they go, "I'll never use that." And on the one hand, like I get it. Like how many games are you suspending and switching through that feature makes sense. On the other, I think it's one of those features where when you use it, you'll like kind of not know how you lived without it type of thing. Yeah. Like if I have 3 or 4 games in rotation over a week and I can just swap between them easily, that's pretty cool. But the big thing, to me, that Quick Resume does that the PlayStation 5 doesn't do is that it keeps the state of your game even after your console loses power. So
yeah, that's quite a thing.
That to me is a huge thing because like obviously if you have a power trip, the way I understand it, I can't foresee a way that the console knows quick enough that it's lost power and saves the state immediately. But depending on how many times it saves the state to the SSD periodically, you might be able to restore back into the game without loading up the game, to where you were and maybe lose a minimal amount of progress. And that's just cool because if you can cold boot your console and be right back into the game, I compare that to the Xbox One X takes forever to load up after a cold boot and the PlayStation 4 actively shouts at you for doing that.
Oh my gosh.
It's the fucking worst. Like, I hate it.
You did not shut down. And listen, we're not just being nitpicky. We live in South Africa where load shedding happens
constantly.
Regularly.
Yeah. So like the idea of the power tripping or going out suddenly without warning is a very real thing that we have to deal with. So like this might not seem like a big deal to most people, but I tell you now in South Africa it's a huge fucking deal. To just have. Well,
I'm tired of my PlayStation shouting at me.
I hate it. It takes forever to boot up, and then it screams at you with the beeps, and it's like, "Don't do this." And you're like, "Okay, fine. It wasn't my fault."
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then you load into
Shit,
it again,
man.
and then it takes a while to like rebuild your external memory, and it's such a pain. It really is just such a pain. So yeah, that to me, I look at the Xbox and I'm like, "That's cool. That's a feature I wish was on the PS5." But hopefully it doesn't shout at you anymore after it loses power.
No more shouting.
Yeah.
Okay, but
what else?
That's PlayStation news. What other news do we have this week?
Marvel's Avengers.
Being delayed.
The next-gen versions have been delayed into 2021. And the arrival of its first bit of DLC, the Hawkeye. Kate Bishop is delayed until next year as well.
I mean, wasn't that supposed to be out? I mean, okay, I know I'm calling a spade, but it was meant to be out this year. But wasn't Kate Bishop meant to be out like now, October? Or was it November?
I think so. I'll be honest. I haven't kept up with Avengers because, like, I just could not care less anymore about this game. Like, I have no desire to go back to it. I didn't even finish the story. I just think it was boring. Like,
here's a quote. With this in mind, we've decided to push Kate Bishop's operation launch back a bit out of October. So I think it was this month. Yeah.
It was.
Okay, so I think she's been delayed, but I don't know if that's delayed till 2021. Maybe she'll still come by November, December.
Maybe before the end of the year. I mean, yeah. I feel like that's what that game needs because, like, all the new characters are free, which I think is a good move. But like having a new character might actually inject some life back into this game because there's been reports of the game like bleeding players, especially on PC. Like it's like below 3,000 players total on PC.
Is it on Steam?
Yes.
Marvel's Avengers.
It's causing havoc with matchmaking because there's not enough players in a region playing. And yet it's the 7th best selling game of the year because I know
Which is so wild.
I think it's, but that to me shows how bad the state is in a worse state. It's not the fact that people didn't buy the game. It's the fact that lots of people bought the game and lots of people have stopped playing, which is a huge problem for a live service game.
Well, looking at Steam charts now, the 24-hour peak on Marvel's Avengers was 1,887.
That's bad. That is across all of PC. That's hell. Fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, compare that to what's Destiny's 2 24-hour peak on Steam. Now that it's transitioned to Steam, I'll let you find that.
Destiny 2.
Because people give shit to Destiny 2. Like the community itself gives so much shit to Destiny 2. But Bungie seems to be the only live service game, that and maybe GTA Online, that is kind of like consistently kept alive. You know what I mean?
Well, Destiny 2 24-hour peak 62,000.
You see, like.
I mean, and that's now, like in the last day alone. All-time peak is 300,000.
It's chalk and cheese. Like, it really is.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of... Now you've got me down this rabbit hole. I want to see Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, God, no. Grand Theft Auto Online must be in the millions, I think.
Can we just remember that Grand Theft Auto came out on the PlayStation 3, and it's still
wild.
Going strong.
It's...
24-hour peak, 105,000. Yep. So it's not like miles higher, but it's still very high.
Yeah.
I mean, geez,
and the majority of that is GTA Online. Like, it has to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like when Destiny 2 launches their new expansion in November, those numbers will soar again. And Avengers not having the same numbers as Destiny is one thing, but like just breaking 1,000 is bad. Like, it is so bad for a game shocking. that is structured like
2,000 versus 60,000. It's like...
Yeah, no, it's... So, yeah, I mean, Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix can say all they like that they believe players will come back and whatever, but I have to imagine this is a bit of a crisis mode for them because, they're pushing this back. I mean, they launched in a turbulent year, yes, but at the same time, it just seemed like playing that game, I was just like, there's no incentive for me to stick by this. I mean, I didn't even finish the story. I didn't even get to end game stuff, and it seems like the end game is really where it just kind of collapses. So
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have to believe that it's the Avengers franchise. It's Square Enix. I don't see them letting the game down. I don't think they will. I mean, it could be one of those things where it's terrible now, but give it a year and it is a Destiny 2. Because, I mean, we have to remember Destiny 2 it wasn't this bad, but a lot of these live service games tend to start out poorly and then they just get better with time because they're live service. They get better based on feedback and whatnot. But I suppose the big question is, will Avengers bleed out before before it can fix itself?
It really is feeling like an Anthem more than a Destiny in that regard. Destiny had its problems, but even through its problems, people were still playing. Anthem, people stopped playing, and this seems like the same
what's
thing.
happening with Anthem? Isn't 2.0?
Yeah, but every time they talk about it, they're like, "Yeah, we're still a while away." I think Anthem is going to go through a big relaunch, and that's going to be the game's make or break moment. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, just on that, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because we're on next gen's doorstep.
Yeah.
Now, do they do the smart delivery thing, for example, like, hey, we fixed the game, you can pick it up on
you're talking about Anthem?
Yeah. Like, do they let people pick it up on the next gen console?
I'd imagine so,
because I can't imagine it being the other way.
Yeah.
Like, we fixed our game, you got to buy it again, sorry.
Yeah, no, that would be absurd. Like, if EA is like, 2.0 $10 patch, it's like, fuck off. Like,
no, come on, what is this?
Yeah. My God.
Okay.
Other news
we have?
We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. There were a bunch of previews that came out this week. Like hands-on impressions. The game's out in like 3 weeks anyway, or 2 weeks.
Good Lord.
Game seems weird. Like, I'll let people read previews because I don't want to spoil things. But there's some side missions shit that I read about that is like, what the fuck? Like, it's just bizarre. Like, really bizarre. But the biggest thing sort of like an eyebrow raiser to me is that the default setting for the game has you switching between the male and female Eivor throughout the story. And Ubisoft says this is integral to the story they're telling. So sort of the setup here is that they are saying that the Animus or whatever the fuck doesn't know whether Eivor, the protagonist in Valhalla, was female or male. So it swaps between them during the story. And like, while I can understand that perspective, I'd find that super jarring to me.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
That's the default choice. You can change it to be strictly one or the other, but that is a bizarre choice to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm quite curious to see how this game pans out because, I mean, who is the director? There's a whole lot of drama. I've just gone blank now. I've just gone. The name's gone from me now. Yeah, but now, so like he left a couple of months ago.
Yes.
So like it's quite I think obviously the game's in its final stages where they're just polishing and whatnot, but it's kind of weird to lose your big director like so close to launch. So I do wonder how that's affected the final game and what the final game will be, because for all intents and purposes, Origins and Odyssey like really corrected the ship on Assassin's Creed. And Odyssey itself, like people are still playing that big time. They love Odyssey. I don't know how Valhalla will stand up against it. So I'm quite curious to see.
I'm like curious to play Valhalla, and every time I see gameplay, I'm like, yeah, that looks good. But at the same time, there's just some things about it like this that I'm just like, oh, that doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping Valhalla is a bit more focused, because I know one of the big criticisms of Odyssey was like it took Origins, which was already a game with like tons of content, and just made more, and it just feels overwhelming at times. Like,
yeah, it's too much. It's like The Witcher 3 on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. So, that really depends on how you play the game as well. But at the same time, I think focusing on a breadth of content like diminishes the quality of the content that's there as well. So I'm hoping they found a better balance between the two in that regard. So yeah, I'm curious to play.
We'll see. What other news? It really feels like it was a bit of a slow news week.
It was, yeah. There's version 8.0 on PS4. The big update.
Which broke. It broke
some friend lists and party chat and stuff. I think the big thing here for me, because most of it's like small changes. The big thing here is that two-factor authentication now supports third-party apps. It's no longer you can configure it so it's not just an SMS, which is Jesus about time, because two-factor authentication via SMS is so insecure. It's so like it is the worst way to do that sort of thing. So being able to link it up with Google Authenticate or something is finally A+.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So yeah, I would suggest everyone take a look at that and change it to a third-party app. It's just much better.
You're forgetting the biggest part of this update: new NAC avatar icon.
Oh shit! Really? I didn't know that.
So important, man.
Gotta love it. Where's NAC 3, man? Where's NAC 3?
NAC 3. Give us NAC 3.
Some small other things. Ghost of Tsushima on PS5.
Oh, that update came out.
Oh yeah. So firstly, that update came out that introduces the game's multiplayer. I haven't tried that. I'm kind of curious to try that. And it's free, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's a 9 gigabyte update, but it adds what's it called?
Stuff.
Something Legends or
like some co-op mode called Legends.
Yeah, some co-op mode. So that's cool. But on PS5, developer Sucker Punch has said that it will reach 60 frames per second with the PS5's boost mode. Which, damn.
Nice.
Yeah. And apparently the load screens will be greatly reduced, which is cool.
Instance.
And hopefully it won't make my console sound like a jet engine, because that's legitimately one of the reasons I stopped playing that game. I just couldn't.
You know what I was playing this week that I didn't really get to talk to. I suppose we'll cover it next week, is Crash Bandicoot 4.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you started that.
That I played that game, and let me tell you, the game, it looks cool. Okay, it's a pretty looking game, very colorful. That game is not graphically demanding though, by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. Like compared to Ghost of Tsushima, my PlayStation was in orbit. Those fans were spinning. Even Lenska was like, "Is the PlayStation okay?
Is it going to be okay? Does it need surgery?" Yeah, I
was like, "I think it's fine. I hope so."
It's a fucking nightmare. I cannot wait. It's like up there on my most excited parts of like next gen is just a quieter console.
Just quiet, please. But my thing is like, every console starts out quiet. My PlayStation wasn't noisy when I got it. Like, but in the long run, can it just stay quiet?
Please? Oh, but the Pro was loud from day one. It just got progressively worse. Like it was like obnoxiously whiny at first, and then God of War came, and then it was like, oh, cool.
Okay, dude.
Yeah, that was the first game where I was like, I think my PS4 is gonna break, and then I realized. Then everyone started talking about it, and
that's how it is. Yeah. So should we leave the news there?
I don't think there's much else. Just like very quickly, Sonic is in Fall Guys.
That words out of my mouth. I was just gonna say, hang on, before we go. There's a Sonic skin in Fall Guys.
He looks so cute. I love it. Although because there's like a seam at his stomach, it looks like a mouth. It's
so funny.
Or he looks like a Kinder Joy egg. It's very confusing.
I love it and I hate it at the same time. Got to go fast.
It's very confusing. What else? Oh yeah, the last thing is that Call of Duty on PC finally got an update that allows you to install only the parts that you want. So you can install just Warzone or just multiplayer or just the campaign, so that you can cut down some of that install size because it's so ridiculous.
I mean, when you're going from 231 gigs to 168 gigs, that's quite a...
That's a big jump, chunk. Yeah. It's a big jump.
But the fact that the game is still 168 gigs, I refuse to believe that... Does Warzone have one map still? One big map?
I have not played Warzone in a while, but I think that's the case.
Okay, and I suppose there's the multiplayer as well. But I'm like, how does that game tally up to 168 gigs? Like, I just can't...
Well, it was 250.
Wrap my head around it. I mean, but you're cutting out the single player portion now.
Yeah, and it's still 160. It's... Yeah, I don't know. Those high resolution gun skins, man. It's what it is.
It's crazy.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's get
that's news. That's news, dudes.
Questions. If you want to send us questions, you can email us, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com, as always. You can also catch us on any social media platform at Checkpoint on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, all them lovely places.
All the things. Okay, let us start with email. We've got some questions from Mix, who has sent 6 questions. He says, Alessandro, since you have started the Barbosa Express, why haven't you sent through your VR kits to Matthew yet?
Because it's mine.
Yeah, what is this? Where's my VR? Where's my VR, bitch?
You have space to play VR?
No. It's not even that. It's a thing of like, if I had the time and I was like really itching to play Half-Life Alyx, which look, I really want to play it one day, but I'm like, I've got so much shit to play. Where am I going to find the time to set up some VR? You go through the hassle of making sure it works on my machine, getting it calibrated, etc., etc. No thanks. I'll ring in the Barbosa Express when I'm good and ready.
You just call me up. Hey, I need a microphone, McDonald's Big Mac, and VR.
And VR, please. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Alessandro, have you decided what you will do about getting a new TV? One that supports 120 hertz, for example, and etc.
That ship sailed, my friend. I bought a new TV like 2 months ago. I got that LG OLED, the C9, so that's 120 hertz, HDMI 2.1, sorted. I'm ready.
Is that the TV behind you now?
Yeah.
So, because I haven't been to your place for a while, all TVs look the same.
Yeah, it's no longer curved. Thank God.
Okay. Did you not like curved? Is the curved phase dead?
It was fine. The thing that bugged me the most was where it was positioned in my room was just underneath the light on the ceiling, and that light caught the curvature of the TV.
The curved means it
Fucking
rebounded
worst.
into your eyes like 30 times.
Absolute worst, yeah. That's just bad. So I gave that TV to my parents and they really like it. And I got an LG.
And now your parents, where do they put it? Is it in their room or in the lounge?
Oh, in the lounge. They mounted it on the wall and all of that.
So now it's in the lounge, and all they can think of is how the lights above the TV just reflects into their eyes
Exactly.
like 30 times. Okay, next question. Do you guys have a preference when it comes to the thickness of tissues? My family loves 3-ply. I honestly am happy to have a 1-ply instead of nothing.
No. 1-ply is like sandpaper.
1-ply, no. 2-ply is the way. It's a good middle ground. I don't need 3-ply, but 2-ply is like the
I don't know. Tissues.
safe middle ground.
Listen, toilet paper. 2-ply is fine.
2-ply.
2-ply is fine with toilet paper. But tissues, 3-ply. The nose is a sensitive area, especially in this dry season. How many times do you get like the sniffles and you're constantly wiping your nose and then you end up with like a rash or something on your nose? No. Get that 3-ply.
This is why you put Vaseline on your nose, dude. It'll solve that problem. Not even lying. Moisturize that raw area.
Moisturize that raw area. That is definitely the title of this podcast.
No. What picture am I going to put?
I know. That's why I want to do it. It's I don't know. Like, I always hated it at school where they would always cheap out on 1-ply toilet paper, and it.
Oh my gosh! In school's the worst.
And you just need like then all you do is end up using more of it because like
exactly
it's the word. You can get 3 and 4-ply toilet paper. Let me tell you.
Wow,
that shit is like silk.
Treat your bum.
That is like silk. It is so good. It is so expensive. It's so necessary. But if you ever want to treat yourself.
Some 4-ply toilet paper. Save it for special occasions.
You just put it in the bathroom when people are over, so they think you fancy AF.
Fancy. Next question, Matthew. What persuaded you to be a copywriter instead of doing something else? So it's a interesting story because I started out. I finished high school, and I thought, being a gamer, being interested in computers, maybe I'll just do the obvious thing and go into programming because that is the IT route. You know, it's going to keep me on my computer having a good time. And let me tell you, I hated programming. I think. I'm pretty sure we spoke about this recently. I don't know if it was on the show or off air.
I remember chatting, but I can't remember if it was on an episode. Yeah.
And I've got lots of friends, you included, who are programmers or in the IT world. And there's something about all of you. You all have a specific way of thinking.
We also all hate our lives.
You also all hate your lives, but that's unrelated. There's just something about it that it didn't click with me. I just couldn't see myself doing it, so I dropped out. And it's interesting because I dropped out and I worked for a few years, and my dad often told me, he's like, why don't you go into journalism? And it was weird because I don't know if he knew something or if he just thought journalism's a cool career. I never thought about it until years later out of high school. I was like, you know what, I want to write a book one day. I want to be an author. It would make sense to do a writing, to get a writing qualification. So I studied, I've got a general BA degree majoring in English and communication purely because it just opens a lot of doors. There's a lot of career paths I can go into. I did not set out to explicitly become a copywriter. It just happened that I interned at Lazy Gamer, worked there a couple of years, and then a job opportunity presented itself in the company I'm at now. So I started as a community manager. Funny enough, I was managing PlayStation South Africa's page. So if you sent an angry DM to that page, I was the one reading it and responding.
Weren't you also community managing some like Portuguese telenovela?
What is it called? I
remember you telling me about that, and that just made me laugh.
No, one of the accounts I managed at one stage was like Spanish soap operas.
Fun.
Let me tell you. That community, wild. They really get into this soap operas.
They really love it. Yeah.
But what happened is, the writing team, one of the writers resigned, and because I'd been doing some copywriting on the side for the company. So like, for example, I did some of the PlayStation content plans. So some of their Facebook and Twitter posts, like I was writing.
So what you're telling me is you knew about the PS5 before it got announced.
I knew about the PS5, exactly. And then that opportunity presented itself and I took it because I want to be an author. I still want to be an author one day. And it's just an obvious connection to me to be writing.
Are you still writing your book?
No. So I haven't touched my book in years because I've been busy with
Because
podcasting
I
and
do
streaming and just
remember
life
during
in general.
when we worked at Lazy Gamer, you were working on that pretty actively. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was the agreements where I worked half a day at Lazy Game and then the other half I was working on my book. So I've finished my first draft and I've just shelved it. It's not forgotten. I just want to get back to it one day. I just haven't made active time because I've been so busy with other stuff.
I think you sent me a draft and I still haven't read it because I'm a terrible person.
How dare you? I know one of my friends, Jaden, he's like, send me a draft. I'm like, just remind me. He's reminded me like 10 times.
I'll forward him my draft.
so if you're listening, I'm so sorry. So yeah, that's how I ended up being a copywriter. And
it's a fairly common career trajectory for especially journalists going to copywriting or PR, especially because you overlap with that so much during especially games journalism. So yeah, a lot of the big game journalists, like from IGN, for example, end up going and doing PR for a big company in some capacity. Same with GameSpot. I know my former editor at GameSpot, Peter Brown, who brought me in for reviews. He didn't go into PR, but he now works at PlayStation as a third-party content curator, which I think is one of the best jobs for someone who's written reviews for like years and years and years, like seeing third parties bringing their games to PlayStation and being able to like critique them and analyze them, and sounds cool. That's a really cool job. So yeah,
that's it.
Hey, and also copywriting pays a lot more than journalism. Hey,
it does.
Hey.
Not really.
Well,
I'm still earning peanuts.
It definitely pays more than Lazy Gamer.
Well, it's like Migs knew we were going to go down this road because he says, since Lazy Gamer was brought up, what happened to it? Did it morph into Critical Hits?
Yeah, that's literally what happened.
That is basically it. So, I mean, that happened more or less around the time
I was still there.
I left.
I was still there.
Yeah, so I think the idea was Lazy Gamer was a gaming website and they had another site, a sister site called the movies.co.za, and they basically just brought them both under the same umbrella.
Yes.
But what I think was quite smart is that Critical Hit doesn't just do gaming and movie news. They do any kind of
like
news.
lifestyle, tech.
Yeah, lifestyle. There's a whole, like, it sort of just opened up the doors to a lot more content, which I think is quite a smart thing to do. And I think the site's doing very well. Is it being run by Darren exclusively?
Yeah,
now,
Darren, I mean, I think as far as I know, Jeff still has some investment in it in terms of like monetary and ownership, but I don't think as far as I know, he does no editorial stuff anymore. So that's all Darren.
I think he will step in to do some reviews now and then because he did a Crash Bandicoot 4.
He does reviews now and then, especially just to help the load on Darren.
Yeah.
Because
Darren is one man who works far too hard. Holy shit.
It's generally like Darren and Brad doing the bulk of the reviews, and then you still got Sam and Noel and Kervin help out here and there, but Darren and Brad do the bulk of the reviews, and it's just too much at times. So it was just a rebrand. Like that's what it was. Yeah. And it worked out, and it's still going well. So yeah.
So listen, if you want to read some good news and stuff, Critical Hits, they're a good time. We love those dudes. And last question from Megs. Alessandro, would you rather eat 50 teaspoons of pure English mustard or watch Cello gain a place in front of you in Trackmania for the next 2 hours?
Fuck.
Insert laughing fig here. How did you know? This man.
Fuck. I don't know. No, I'd rather eat the mustard.
Speaking of Trackmania, we wow.
I can't deal with watching Cello beat me at Trackmania for 2 hours. Imagine how slow I'd have to drive to even let that happen.
That's wow. I mean, you might as well just not accelerate.
I might as well actually go in reverse.
Wow. So speaking of Trackmania, we'll get to that soon because I think there are a whole lot of new tracks, and you know what? We need to reignite the
I really hope it's not just winter-based tracks and it's just ice everywhere. I'll be so sad.
Please no.
But yeah, I'm super stoked to get good on Trackmania again.
Let's get good. Okay, and then let's bounce over to Instagram. We have some questions. Speak of the devil himself, Cello.
Cello is sus.
He has 4 questions. Number 1, when's the last time you experienced nostalgia?
Playing Crash Bandicoot 4.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because so I also started up Crash Bandicoot 4 this week, and it's weird because I never played the Insane Trilogy, the remake of the first 3 games.
Oh yeah, they were full-on remakes. I forgot about that.
The last Crash game I played, actually played, I never played on PS2 or PS3 or PS4. I honestly last played Crash Bandicoot 3.
Warped, the best one.
So to bounce from that to Crash Bandicoot 4, which is a modern day Crash Bandicoot, was such a trip because I've missed all the in-between stuff.
It's this weird thing of you're the perfect person to speak to this, because Crash 4 feels like it could have come out on PS1, but at the same time feels at home on modern consoles.
It does, yeah. But what was wild to me is just that I have such vivid memories of playing Crash 3, and then going to Crash 4, this kind of looks exactly like the Crash I know and remember, except
definitely not.
The graphics are modern, very colorful. The worlds are a lot bigger. The depth of fields, you know. It was such a weird thing, and that was a strong hit of nostalgia. I was like, oh my god, this is insane.
Same. Even just seeing Cortex and the bad mask, Uka, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, just hearing the voices of the characters as well. Yeah, big nostalgia trip, and I love it. That's why I love that game so much. It's really good. That game is hard as hell.
Okay.
Holy shit!
Oh my god, it's
it's fine to clear levels, but man, when I'm looking for those optional gems or trying not to die 3 times in a level and stuff, that shit gets hard.
Yeah, but that's my thing. Is I think one of the trickiest ones is not dying 3 times, because sometimes there's something about Crash where, so having come off Mario is very precise, very very precise. And I'm not saying Crash isn't, but there's something different about the platforming in Crash that I'm just not used to. So I don't know if it's the forward flip he does, whatever, but I'm mistiming so many jumps, and it's completely my fault because I know they've got the little icon on the bottom to show where you're going to land, but I'm just not used to it. So I'm completely misjudging distances and stuff, and I'm dying a lot. I'm like, for goodness sake, why is this game?
It's a fucking pain. It really is.
Good lord, it's a good time though. We'll talk about that
Great
more
game.
Soon. Okay, next question. Best horror movie in your opinion? I think one of my favorite memories of a horror movie is actually of The Conjuring.
Oh god.
Where a whole lot of friends and I, we went away. This is 3-4 years ago. Over December, we all just went away to Mossel Bay, and we had our own little getaway. And we're staying at one of our friends' places, and we all watched The Conjuring one evening. And it was just funny because, I just have such memories of everyone being terrified.
I've never watched the first Conjuring, actually. I do know of that scene at the end, with that, because it's The Conjuring's got that thing with the red and black face, right?
I think so. It was a
maybe
while
I'm
ago.
thinking of some other. I don't watch a lot, of horror movies because I'm not super into them.
Likewise.
What I do like a lot are slashers. Which to me is this middle ground between thriller and horror. So I really like the Scream movies. I really like Jason. There's a series on Netflix called Slasher, which is an anthology series of slashers, which is really fun.
Good lord. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I really do like in terms of horror, which maybe is a cop out, but not the sequel, but the reboot of It, the first chapter, I thought was phenomenal.
You know what? Yeah. Actually, so now that you mentioned, I watched that in cinema.
Yes, I was terrified.
Let me tell you, Lenska is the very definition of a sensitive viewer. Okay. She does not bode well with things like that because they just stick in her mind. But I told her, I'm this is a horror movie. Are you sure you want to watch? It's yeah, kid. And I think it's a problem because she actually does enjoy horror movies. She enjoys the thrill of it, but she doesn't like what comes after.
Okay, yeah. When you're in bed and thinking about it.
Yeah. I remember being in that cinema. It was so funny because that movie was terrifying. There were some scenes holy shit, edge of your seat, what's going to happen? At one point, I can't remember what the context was, what actually happened on screen, but the cinema went quiet because the movie went quiet, and she was like, why the fuck are we watching this? She just like said it out loud, and everyone just burst out laughing. It was so funny.
Oh man, I wish I was there to experience that. That's amazing.
I tried to warn you.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next question. Would you rather have a popcorn stuck in your tooth or an eyelash in your eye? I'm not even gonna.
Those both suck.
Think twice about this. They both suck, but I hate having eyelashes in my eye, so I'm just gonna go for the popcorn.
I guess that's more.
I'll take it.
Like destructive to like having something in your eye is just a fucking pain. It really is. But I hate it. I hate it when you go to a movie. You're just having a good time. You're chowing that popcorn. Movie hasn't even started, and you get that kernel stuck in your tooth, and the whole movie is now you trying to get it out.
You're sitting there with your tongue.
Fuck. Like, yeah, no, I hate that more actually, because I think the eyelash thing I can remedy pretty quickly, but the tooth thing and it can be like hours where I'm just trying to get this thing out.
No.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Fine.
Hate these questions. God.
So we're on the other opposite ends of the spectrum here. Okay, last question from Cello Zeta. He says, what's the biggest compliment you can give your co-host, wink face? That's so funny. Why'd you put a wink face at the end here? I don't understand. What are you trying to do here? What can I say? I can say that I think Alessandro is probably one of the most genuine persons I know.
Yeah, I'm genuinely terrible.
And that's no, I legitimately think that you are the sort of person that what you see is what you get. There's no bullshittery, no mind games. You're a very, very kind person, and I enjoy hosting the show with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you need some 3-ply toilet paper to wipe that too?
Oh God, yeah. I guess it's the same for you, but it's just like also just so. I love how easygoing you are. You kind of like you work. You hit this balance of like easygoing and hardworking, which I saw firsthand at Gamescom. Just like working at 3 a.m. but still happy about what you're doing and excited and energized about things, even though it's like you're working so fucking hard.
I was crying on the inside. Let me tell you. I mean,
same with E3. It was just it's been such a pleasure, like being able to go to places like Gamescom and E3 with you, because it was just fantastic. It was some of the best times.
One day we'll do it again.
Some of the best times.
One day.
And drinking beer at 8 a.m. in the morning after watching Dota 2 International.
The International, nice man. Last day of Gamescom.
Trying to chill those beers in this like little bar fridge in the room that was doing nothing. Oh my God, that is the worst
bar fridge.
Put it in there.
All that bar fridge was doing was just blowing air.
It was so useless. It was like, put it in there for 3 hours, bring it out. The beers are like room temperature. Terrible.
I'm like, hang on, fam. Let me turn this thing up to 7. Like, it is on 7 already. What is it actually doing?
I have another thing. Matthew is the best person to take with you when you're going to buy loot, because he doesn't give a shit. He sprints, and he will make you sprint with him to get to the front of that line.
I'll get that.
I've never in my life.
People have requests.
That was people think the first time we ran together was parkrun. No, it was Gamescom.
It was running to that loot line.
Yeah, it was Gamescom, running to that loot hall.
It's only because I had the experience, because I went to Gamescom the year before with Zoe and Jeff. So I knew the stakes of that loot hall, and I was like, let me tell you, we've got to get in front. We're going to run in. We've got the press passes. We can cut the crowd.
I was glad we got to go back on the Saturday, and we literally got in the front of everywhere, and then spent way too much money.
Yeah. Oh, it's good times, man.
That dude, when we were buying those Dota minifigs, he's like, you get 4 and then you get 1 free. And I was like, no, I actually just want 1. And I ended up buying like 4. Fuck's sake.
Bought 4. Those guys are, what a
yeah,
sucker.
He literally is. I'm pretty sure, because I'm literally like, I just want tiny. And he's like, no, but if you buy 4, you get 1 free. I'm like, I don't need this.
1 free. And he's just like, my commission.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all the questions. And you know what? We didn't hit the 2-hour mark. What a
Can you
time
believe
to be
it?
alive.
If you want to send us questions, you can email us, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on all them social platforms. Checkpoint Chat on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I didn't mention TikTok earlier. My God.
Damn it.
It's a sign of the times.
What a platform. Yeah, and that's episode 121.
Yeah, that's episode 121. We're doing some cool things with Nintendo in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. You'll know more about that in the weeks to come. So yeah, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram,
all the platforms,
everywhere to keep up to date.
And if you want visual content, I upload. I don't think a lot of listeners might know. Like we have our YouTube channel. But I do break out a lot of the stuff into bite-sized segments if you do prefer. Like if for some reason you're like, I don't actually want to listen to these bozos talk about games and shit for an hour. I'd rather just listen to gaming news. I break out, like I have a gaming news video on YouTube. I break out some of the reviews. So there's other content there if you do want to watch stuff. So like what I'm doing this week, for example, you can actually see the news that we are scrolling through and reading through. If you don't want to just listen to it, you can actually see the PlayStation UI because I had some videos playing in the background while we spoke about it. So yeah, drop us a subscribe there. And yeah, check us out on YouTube.
I always link the YouTube in the show notes. So easy link to find there just because we haven't got a custom URL yet because we need 100 subscribers. So if you can contribute to that, we'd love it.
We don't actually want you to subscribe because we're on 69 at the moment and it's too nice.
That's also true. Yeah, it's great. They should just give custom URLs to channels that are divisible by 69.
When you hit 69, here's your custom URL.
Exactly. But that's been episode 121. As always, thank you so much for... What the hell did I just pull out my hair? Sorry.
Oh shit.
While I die. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Okay, bye.
Love you, bye.